The Hard Truth Season 8 with Akosia Konedu, proudly brought to you by EcoBank.
We are still on the Hard Truth, and my name is Nana Akosia Konedu, and Fair Wages and Salaries Commission Chief Executive. It's here, Joe Smith-Graham, and we're still looking at the issue of the doctors threatening to resign. How factual is this, and how ready is the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission to go down to help solve this issue? George, welcome to the Hard Truth again for the fourth time. Yay. Let's look at the concerns raised by the doctors, Ghana Medical Association, to go on strike. What role are you playing in this?
As the institution responsible for negotiation and as the lead negotiator for government, we are supposed to be leading the negotiations, and so we'll be leading the negotiations to ensure that we finish with these negotiations on time.
Why didn't the doctors come to Fair Wages and Salaries Commission straight? Because if you look at your mandate reads, to ensure fair, transparent, and systematic implementation of government of Ghana policy, or the pay policy. Number 2, develop and advise government on and to ensure that decisions are implemented on matters related to A, salaries, wages, grading, classification; B, job analysis and job evaluation; C, performance management and indicators; and the last one, allowances and benefits in public service, with the ultimate objective consolidation of the allowances and benefits. So why not, knowing this, why wouldn't they come to you directly? Why the government, and why the issue now?
We represent the government and we negotiate on behalf of government. And you recall that this process started long ago. Early in the year, we all met at a hotel just close to Tigo, and we had a discussion on their conditions of service. And after that, they decided to go back and fine-tune the document and bring it back to us. And that's exactly what they did. And they submitted the documents, and negotiations started. So Fair Wages was represented on the committee that was negotiating, government committee that was negotiating. But I think that everything is all right. Negotiation is still ongoing. So
everything is not all right. They are threatening to resign. Patients are dying at the hospitals. Lives are being lost, life is priceless. Let's look at the conditions of services. 1, members of GMA working for MOH, that's the Ministry of Health, and its agency shall be entitled to 1 official vehicle on attaining the rank of principal medical officer. Let's look at this. Category A to 3, want 100 gallons per month, that's fuel, and A4 to A5 want 90 gallons per month, B1 to B3 80 gallons per month. Are these justifiable enough? I mean, their conditions, looking at all of these.
Their proposals they've submitted, and our responsibility is to ensure that we negotiate and we are able to give them something that is fair, that the budget can accommodate, that is acceptable within the norms as pertains in Ghana. And so we will engage them in the negotiations, and the ultimate one for me is what is important. What we agree on is what is important, and not necessarily the proposals they've tabled.
No, so if you are going to negotiation, I give you what I want, you give me what we have, we come to a middle ground, a decision is taken. There's a case we
don't necessarily come to a middle ground. We negotiate until we reach an agreement. The agreement may not necessarily be a middle ground. It may be the bottom ground.
It's not like you're talking as if it's fine, but these are aggrieved doctors.
No,
people who take care of
ground.
Exactly, people who take care of sick people in Ghana. And then if they are not taken care of properly, And then you said it with, some disdain, as if it's the norm or it's okay. Middle ground, you need to come to a middle ground to make sure
now, if you say,
are okay, I'm okay.
Yeah, and that is why I mentioned that we reach a consensus on it. The middle ground
consensus.
Yeah.
But why, before you said you represent the government, so in as much as you're representing the government and then someone has come to you for negotiation, why was the issues leaked onto the media?
The Fair Rate and Science Commission will never leak documents into the media.
You just said you represent government,
yeah.
So yes, if you're representing government, you should know why it was leaked to the
and I'm saying government never leaked the document officially. A member of government can leak a document or whatever. It doesn't necessarily mean that the government team has leaked the document. That is what I want us to get straight. We didn't leak any document, and we will never leak any document.
If Akosia, who is a member of the government, leaks it, it's just Akosia, it's not the government.
It's not the government. So I believe that we need to. The government team is made up of representatives of Fair Wages, Minister of Finance, Minister of Employment, and even the Minister of Health. And none, and I mean none, of the members of the government team has leaked this document. And so we need to look at it from that. The document can be available in several other places. The document is not only available to us, the document can be available to others as well because they bought the document. So, and I remember one of the papers who published the document said they got information from sources within the doctors. Yeah, and so for me, I think much as it's unfortunate that the document got out, the important thing is for us to continue the negotiations and conclude the negotiations.
So if I'm so angry, how can I come to sit down to, agree you on terms?
Why would you have to be angry with the institution that is negotiating with you, and you know very well, looking at the work that the institution does, will not want to leak this document to anybody? The leakage of that document can create more problems for us than give us peace. And so why would we want to leak such a document to the public domain? And the doctors know that we will never leak such documents. So that's the reason why we are still engaging. They've been okay. They've expressed their concerns. Yeah, they've expressed their concerns officially to us, but we are still talking, and we will continue to talk.
So they've given ultimatums. They said by 14th of July, if nothing is done, they resign. Well, what steps are you? What steps are you taking to speed up the August? Sorry,
14th of August
of this month. That's it. So what steps are you taking to speed up processes?
Negotiations are ongoing, and I believe we'll reach an amicable solution. You see, I'm very reluctant to give timelines because it is negotiations. The other party comes with a proposal. You also come with a proposal.
Yeah.
Assuming you table your proposal and your proposal is accepted by the other party, negotiation ends. Or the other party submits the proposal and you accept the proposal, negotiations end. But like you mentioned, we need to get to a middle ground. And in getting to the middle ground,
we need to get to a middle ground. You agree we need to get to a middle ground.
Because I'm assuming that your middle ground is consensus, because you said that's the same thing. So I'm assuming your middle ground was consensus. So once we are supposed to reach consensus on these issues, it is important that we all engage in a very friendly and free of threat atmosphere. And I believe that is where we can.
Isn't that the only language that government, understands? Because we've had a lot of strikes, and then when we are going on strike, that's when the government steps in. It's fast. Implementation is so like that. Why don't we have the automatic adjustment formula? I know for fuels and all. Why can't we create something like that, such that every year, automatically, the whatever conditions of services upgrade by itself for them to be happy? Why can't we have something like that for them?
It will be interesting if I see it implemented in one company, and if it works, then we'll see how it works. I would love to see it working in your company, automatic adjustment in your company, and one that works very well.
George, you are interested. You take this. I don't know why you are just taking. You're making it. Whatever you think.
No,
but
it is not easy to want to negotiate salaries and use automatic adjustment. You can even link it to anything. It can be inflation, it can be anything. In any economic environment, the economic situation can change depending on the situation. Depending on certain external forces, the situation can change. When that happens, it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to have those automatic adjustments. I'll give you a practical example. When the whole world experiences economic crunch, you notice that Ford in the United States and their management, staff and their management agreed that they are going to cut their salaries and use it to support the company, and then the company will be able to bounce back. And indeed they did, and the company bounced back. We've had it in Ghana before, some years back, when AGC was going through some difficulties. The management came together and then we were able to come into some form of arrangement and we were able to salvage the situation. So you can't easily have what you are referring to as an automatic adjustment.
The Hard Truth Season 8 with Akosia Konedu, proudly brought to you by EcoBank.
EcoBank, we see a great future, one that's full of opportunity for those who want to be the best. With over 1,000 branches of a single bank across 33 African countries, it's a future where trade can flourish without boundaries. The future is breathtaking, with enormous cross-border investments helping business and government build new infrastructure, while individuals achieve their ambitions right across Africa. The future is Pan-African, and EcoBank is the Pan-African bank.
What can we do now? What can we?
That is why we need to engage in the negotiation. The negotiation is
every time you have to negotiate. Every time you negotiate. Every time you go on strike. Every time you negotiate. What is the role of the the single spine pay policy in this? Is what I'm asking you.
The negotiation is not supposed to lead to strike. In any case, we have processes that we have to go through.
No, but if you don't pay me for a certain time, I get aggrieved, and hence I want to go on strike because I know that's the only language you understand.
We are in a rule of law. We are in a rule of law. Before we start any negotiation, we sign what we call ground rules. And the ground rules will stipulate clearly in the event of a deadlock where we have to go and where we have to go and where we have to go. We have processes in the country that we can use in resolving all these issues. For instance, the ground rules that we have with the Ghana Medical Association say that once we reach a deadlock, the matter will be referred to the National Labour Commission. Now, we've not even got into a deadlock. And so that is why I'm saying that it is good that we sit down and talk. We've not got into a deadlock. When you reach a deadlock, the two parties sign that we've not been able to reach an agreement on ABC, and then the matter will be referred to the National Labour Commission. If even it goes to the National Labour Commission and you are not happy with the National Labour Commission, you have another opportunity to either go to the court or whatever. There are processes. And I believe that we all, as a country that has decided to adopt the rule of law, should be able to use such processes to achieve what we want and not necessarily resort into these actions. But be that as may, they are already on strike, and so far as we are concerned, there's no deadlock. And so we'll continue to engage them and we believe that we should be able to reach some amicable solution very soon.
You met the Public Service Unit Joint Committee on the 4th of August, and you discussed the category, is it 2 and 3 allowances and all that. How different is this from what the doctors are asking for?
It is not necessarily different. The categories 2 and 3 allowances are supposed to serve as the allowances, core allowances within the conditions of service. In every conditions of service, we have what we call the monitoring aspect of the conditions of service and the non-monetary aspect of the conditions of service. Now, we deal with the monitoring aspect of the conditions of service, and then the institutions, together with the Public Service Commission, also deal with the non-monetary aspect of the conditions of service. And so it's the same thing, the same categories 2 and 3 allowances that we are supposed to be negotiating. And we also have the category 4 allowances that we are supposed to be negotiating. Within the categories 2 and 3 allowances, There are some that may cut across the whole of the public service, and there are some that may be specific to an institution. And so all the allowances that are supposed to be negotiated at the Public Service Joint Standing Negotiation Committee, whether they submit a proposal or not, will have to be negotiated at the Public Service Joint Standing Negotiation Committee. And then the ones that are specific to them as a health institution or as doctors will be the ones that will negotiate.
So why don't you fuse all of that into
everything has been done. They were all at the Public Service Joint Standing Negotiation Committee. They made very strong points. They made very strong contributions. And so we are working together. I'm not sure we are very far apart.
You said 3 years ago you were so very excited about bridging the gap between the public and the private sector when it comes to money, your payment. Now, NADMO and some other institutions for so long haven't been paid. Why is that?
It has nothing to do with us.
Who has it got into the finance?
If an institution has not been paid, it has nothing to do with that.
I mean, you are a stakeholder. Yeah. So, for instance, you are not you don't pay them. So, as a stakeholder, what's your take on this?
I don't even have that information. I'm not hearing it from you. But
so
the point is that why would
some public sector institutions haven't been paid? Is what you're telling me?
I know of the newly recruited teachers, not the teachers, but newly recruited nurses, psychiatric nurses, and the doctors, and their processes are a bit different. And I'm sure that it's a bit different because of the automatic intake. You see, if you have an automatic intake of this nature, you need to have a certain medium-term planning towards their intake, so that by the time they even go to the first year, you can have a projection to know that if the course is, let's say, 4 years, you know that within the next 4 years, these are the number of people who are going to graduate. And so you make projections for them in terms of budgetary projections and all that. These planning, medium, long-term planning that we don't have is what sometimes creates this problem.
You don't have. And why don't you have? It's like you don't have. You don't care. You care that you don't have. No, why don't you have it?
Every institution has a plan. We have a 5-year strategic plan. And I believe the Ministry of Health will also have their own plan. So every institution has a plan. What we are saying is that it is not an ideal situation. It is not good for somebody to graduate, start working, and after 8 months, the person has not been paid. It's very disheartening. We need to improve the processes so that we make sure that at least or at most by 2 months, 3 months, the person receives his salary. That is the best thing for us to do.
What goes into that improvement? I mean, improvement on the process.
That's what I'm referring to. It will require some level of planning. If, for instance, we know that in 2 years' time we are going to get 20 doctors, 100 doctors, 15 nurses, by now the projections should be made. The projections are factored into Ministry of Finance's budget. If there's a need for any documentation in terms of approval for their recruitment and other things, we go through all those processes. Now, that is one aspect of it. The second aspect of it is having given them the appointment letters and whether they would assume duty or they will not assume duty. That's another thing. That's the reason why when even...
So it's intentional to delay their monies. I mean,
when you've given them the appointment letter, you will need to now wait for the person to assume duty. You don't start paying the person. You can give the person an appointment letter to go to, say, Tamale Teaching Hospital, and the person will not go to Tamale, will not even go at all. And so assuming you give the appointment letter and you start paying, before you realize you've paid the person and the person is not at post.
Why would you start paying without, checking or ensuring
that's what I'm saying. That's the reason why it may be difficult that immediately they are recruited, they are paid. Because they will have to assume duty at the place. When they assume duty and they work, they pick the data from the facility where they are working. The information is brought to Accra, and it is there are processes. But I agree that those processes should not take more than 3 months.
But
that's what I'm
you
saying.
are talking like negotiations is like the deal. It's fine when it happens. We go through negotiations. What of taking steps prevents it? So now, if some other unions come and say, well, we're also going on strike because we are not being paid for a number of months. What are you going to do about that? You still go through negotiations.
Yeah, I don't want to be discussing the strike issues. You've observed I've deliberately not discussed the strike.
I know that.
Yes, and I don't want to discuss the strike.
Why is that?
I believe the strike shouldn't have happened in the first place. Because we have processes that we are going through. You just mentioned categories 2 and 3 allowance, which tells me that you follow the system for some time, and you know that we are supposed to have categories 2 and 3 allowances. The plan was to have the categories 2 and 3 allowances implemented sometime about 2-3 years ago. Now, when we went to hold for the National Forum, a decision was taken. No, not last year.
2 years ago?
Yeah, some 2013 thereabout. The decision was that we don't need to be implementing all the phases of the policy at the same time. You should do it in phases. You complete one phase, you move to another phase because of cost implication. At every phase, make sure that the fiscal implication and fiscal analysis have been done, taken care of in the budget, so you don't have a situation where you dislocate the budget because of those things. And that's the reason why we didn't implement it then. And we've all gone through a process. We had a committee that we all put together. The committee was made up of government side and the organized labor side. They completed their work. In January, when we concluded the negotiation, it was part of the agreement that this year we have to implement the categories 2 and 3 allowances. It was also part of the agreement that we allow Minister of Finance to do the financial scenarios, and then we begin the negotiation. So it is not as if nothing was taking place. And I believe that the doctors know that the processes were ongoing, but somehow they decided to declare.
But they gave you timeline. So when someone says, I'm giving you timeline, so they expect something, at least they should see something being done about it. So I'm sure if they saw some steps, 1 to 3 steps taken, don't have, threatened the strike.
We are working as a collective. We are working as a collective. We are working as Public Services Joint Standing Negotiation Committee. We are working as a collective. And so collectively, we are all working at making sure that we are able to get to that point. And that's the reason why I believe that the strike is unfortunate. I think that just a little time would have been able to resolve this issue, and we didn't need to go on the strike. You mentioned yesterday. Yes, indeed, yesterday we met. We've gone through the document. Organized labor has decided to go back and submit their proposals to government. The proposals will come, we will engage, and we'll all come to an amicable solution. Everybody will be happy. That is the purpose of the policy. The purpose of the policy is not to be engaging unions one-on-one on all these negotiations. We are what we call even the service classification arrangement, where the health sector is a whole service classification. Because if we talk about conditions of service, you are talking about conditions of service of an institution. And therefore,
in the first place, how can someone start work without a condition of service?
No, they do have. Possible? They do have conditions of service. What they are looking for now, I believe, is that they want to have assigned conditions of service that they can refer to. Because doctors go on leave. If you don't have conditions of service, you can't go on leave. Doctors have other benefits that they take. They take food allowance. They take certain other allowances. They are all part of conditions of service. And if they want to go to school postgraduate program, they are all planned. If a doctor decides to work in the village, they are all there.
They are still asking for these things.
No, they are all there.
The Hard Truth Season 8 with Akosia Konedu, proudly brought to you by EcoBank.
EcoBank, we see a great future, one that's full of opportunity for those who want to be the best. With over 1,000 branches of a single bank across 33 African countries, it's a future where trade can flourish without boundaries. The future is breathtaking, with enormous cross-border investments helping business and government build new infrastructure, while individuals achieve their ambitions right across Africa. The future is Pan-African, and EcoBank is the Pan-African bank.
And so what they are looking for now is
which one is a signed one? So we have an unsigned one, we have a signed one. You mentioned a signed one just
now.
now.
It means that the documents may be there. it may be operational in the organization,
but not signed.
but it has not been put together as a conditions of service for the organization. It does not necessarily mean that it doesn't exist. The conditions of service necessarily exist, because if not, then they wouldn't be working. Because once you're even given an appointment letter, the appointment letter will spell out clearly certain things, some do's and don'ts. They are all part of the conditions of service.
Right.
So what we are trying to do is to formalize it and have it documented, so that they know that they can pull this document and make reference to it, instead of going to look for probably several other documents to make reference to them. And that's what we are doing. And I believe that we are on course. It's part of the policy. We are going to work within the service classification of all the various service classifications, 9 of them, and we'll be able to conclude these negotiations. I don't think it's a problem. The strike again,
it is, so
I'm
people
saying
are out
it's
there. Yes, it
unfortunate.
is. Some patients are. I mean, they go to the hospital unattended and all that. What advice would you have for the doctors now? What would you tell every public doctor in Ghana now?
My appeal to them will be for them to call off the strike and allow the negotiations to continue. You see, now...
So when is the next meeting?
Now, where we are now, then if we say we want to go legalities, then we would have said, then we are not going to engage you in any negotiation because you're on strike. But once you're on strike, we can negotiate with you. But we've not even taken that into consideration. We are still engaging them. And I will continue to engage them.
When is the next meeting?
I won't discuss anything about the meetings with them, because...
No, so should we just sit down and then, we will just hear they resigned? I mean, we should know something. When is the next one?
The doctors themselves know that we'll be meeting.
When?
And so I won't disclose...
Next week, this week, when?
I won't disclose the meeting days. I will not.
Thank you so much for taking to the hard truth. So that's George Smith Graham, Chief Executive, Fair Wages and Salaries Commission.
The Hard Truth Season 8 with Akosia Konedu, proudly brought to you by EcoBank.